it's been a couple weeks since I posted. Mostly just started a new job and stuff and trying to figure all that out, and that way that I have money to go places to investigate and stuff that's not just local that I've been to a million times. But anyway, the main purpose of this video, I feel like I've never introduced why I became a paranormal investigator, and I know that's not really, I don't know if there's a lot of people that have ever cared if people knew, but I feel like, why not? And so my story starts when I was like 2, and my grandparents moved every year when they cleaned. Spring cleaning meant moving for them, and so they moved into this one house, and I would go into their bedroom and talk to somebody that wasn't there, and it kind of freaked them out, but they got used to it. And we're not really sure who it was. I think there was a little old man and woman that lived there, and they perished there too, so I guess it was one of them. I would just tell them it was a little old man. And so, I mean, that's the gist of that. I don't really know much, and my grandma's not here anymore. She passed away back in October to ask her more about it, but she never really told me more about it because I've asked. But then she moved out of there, and she told me to tell him that he had to stay there. So even though she didn't know much about the paranormal, she knew that, which I don't think they were leaving. I don't think they'd leave the house. They must have loved it there. And then if you flash forward a few years, we're living in Florida, and my parents have bought this trailer. We live in a little hick town called Benel. I don't know if anybody knows where that's at. It's like an hour north of Daytona. And my dad always got creepy vibes outside. There was a big forest in the back. There was a big front yard, the house, and then behind it sat my dad's garage, and then a big forest in the back. He said he'd always get creepy feelings out there at night, and I think my mom told me that he heard somebody laugh out there one time. Granted, we had neighbors, but they were not close. So even if they stood on their front porch or back porch and yelled as loud as they could, you probably wouldn't hear them. Because we were literally the last house coming this way, the first house coming this way, but there was not another house for like a mile or so down the road. That's how desolate it is. So, I don't know. And there was another time there that there was 3 bedrooms. There was my mom's room, mom and dad's room, and then I had my little brother, and we shared a room. And then the other room was our playroom. And we were in there playing one day, and my mom said I just stopped and looked out the window. And I don't remember if I asked her why there was a soldier out there. I don't even know if I knew what it was. But she said that I saw a man in a green uniform standing back there. I don't know the history of the property. I'd love to find out. But we moved from there in 2005, and I was 8 years old, or 2006. So I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever know the history of that place, but it was kind of creepy. You could sleep in my room at night. My sister had these little toys that would make noise like a vacuum and stuff like that. And you'd hear it go off in the middle of the night. And there was one night that there was a lamp in the living room there. That was my great-grandmother's. She passed away in 2001, I believe. But every night right after she passed away, at the same time, that light would blink. I don't know if it was paranormal. I don't know if it was electrical. But I do know that one night it did that. And every TV, I'm talking all 3 bedrooms and the living room, all went to static at the same time. There was no storm. There was nothing. It's scared my mom enough that we left. My dad was at work. He worked night shift at the time. Picked us up and went to their friend's house and stayed the night until my dad got off work the next morning. So that was interesting. I remember that very vividly. I was probably 5 or 6 at the time. It was an experience. Then, let's see how the timeline goes. And I didn't experience this, but my grandparents moved into this apartment. I think they lived there right before we moved back to Kentucky. It was this 55 and up apartments, I think, is what it was. But they lived there, and my grandfather swore that it was haunted. I don't know if this man even believed in ghosts, but he knew that place had a ghost. He woke up in the middle of the night and said something was on his chest, holding him down so he could not breathe. And then later, there was apparently it would move things all the time and stuff and get on his nerves. And one time it pulled out the can opener and set it on the counter and left the drawer open. And he left it like that for my grandma to find because she worked night shift at the hospital. And he left it out for her to find. And of course she didn't believe him. But it was funny. Then if you flash forward to 2006, and we bought this house in Kentucky, and when we looked for houses between Knoxville, Tennessee, and Pine Knot, Kentucky. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, little hole in the wall, but we found this house. We went and looked at it, and I knew from the minute that I looked at it, laid eyes on it, that I did not like it. I had this feeling in my stomach that something bad was going to happen if we moved into it. And I'll get to it, but this house destroyed 2 marriages. I mean, I don't know how many before or how many after, but there was I don't know, but I'll get into that in a minute. But I tell my mom, I say, I don't want to live here. She thinks it's because it has an upstairs and my bedroom would be upstairs, and I'm afraid of heights. But that's not the issue. Stairs, I can get over that. As long as I walk them enough, I'll eventually get used to it, and I did. But that's not. I just felt something wasn't right. So we moved. My dad works on this house for like 6 months before we can move into it because the people that sold it, they gutted it before, so it was destroyed. My dad had to completely rebuild the inside of this house. Took him 6 months. We move in. All is well for a little while. And then it starts happening. You could sit downstairs. It goes the living room. There's a bathroom back here, mom's room, sister's room. You go from the living room into the kitchen. Then the stairs go upstairs. My brother's room's here. And you go all the way across, my room's here. You would hear something walk from my room to my brother's room, down the stairs, and it stopped. You could do this when you were laying in bed up there. You could hear it walk across and down. My mom would think that I was getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or something because she'd hear something walk from my room across and down, but never saw anybody. Well, that's not the end of it. There was one night that we were sitting there in the living room watching TV, and we had a shower and a bathtub separately in there, and the bathtub water turned on by itself. No explanation at all. And that would have been fine. Would have been water pressure, whatever messed up, could have been nothing, but it turned itself off, but it didn't turn itself all the way off. It turned itself halfway off. It would turn itself on a lot, but it never turned itself off. So that was the only time that happened. There was one night I was sitting upstairs, and there was no door between mine and my brother's room, but we put up a curtain when we got older. But the way I was sitting, my TV was in this corner, the doorway was right here, so I could see. My brother had a dresser with a mirror on it, sitting in this little cubby next to the stairwell. And I saw out of the corner of my eye, I don't think I've ever told him this. I saw out of the corner of my eye what looked like a Grim Reaper shadow go across that. I never did like mirrors, and I guess that just solidified it. But mirrors in a bedroom is a big no-no for me. Always has been, always will be. But maybe that's what solidified it. But I saw it go across and it just ended there. I don't know if I was meant to see that. I don't know if I wasn't. I don't really care. I'm getting cold chills thinking about it right now. But that's not the extent of what happened in that house. Stuff would go missing, like, and just pop up randomly in different places where you didn't put it, where you know you didn't put it, which I know that happens in a lot of haunted houses. But the kicker, the one thing that made me never want to stay in the house by myself, ever. You think, oh, that would have. But no, I was the only person in the house. No TVs were on, nothing. My dad was outside working in his garage. My brother and sister were across the street, I think, or they were outside, I don't know. But I was the only one in there. I went in the house to go to the bathroom, sitting there doing whatever. And then I heard a child laugh. It was the first disembodied voice I had ever experienced that I remembered, and it scared me absolutely to death. I would never go in that house by myself again. And I'm 25 years old almost, and probably would still not step in that house by myself today. Something about that. I don't think it was a child. I don't know what it was, but it wreaked havoc all the time. And here's how it separated 2 marriages. I mean, I don't know if I don't have any proof of this, but I do know that my parents got divorced when I was 18. Now, my mom was an addict, and that's what caused the divorce. She had an addictive personality before we moved in, and there, yes, I know. But I would just like to say that it got 10 times worse when we moved into that house, and then as soon as she got away from that house, she got better, and she's not done a drug a day since in her life. Now, whether or not that's a coincidence, I don't know. But I do know that it ruined 2 marriages. The second one, when my parents divorced and moved out, my uncle and his wife took over the house. My uncle had been, she was his third wife, or second wife, yes. She was his second wife. The first one left him. He didn't cheat or anything. I won't get into that. But the second one, he'd never cheated on a woman he'd been with. Nothing. Wasn't living in that house a month. Cheated on her. Destroyed her. I don't know if it was the house or just sheer coincidence. But something tells me that house was involved. I took a picture of the back. Y'all, we didn't really have much of a backyard at that house. It kind of went down a hillside. But I took a picture one time back there, and all you could see was orbs everywhere, red and white. And I don't have the picture. I don't know where it could be, but I'll try to find a few pictures of the house, like when we bought it or whatever, to include in this, because I feel like that house really did help shape me. All those things happening to me, I wanted to know why. I wanted to know how. I wanted, I had experienced things growing up, but this house that we moved into just did it. It pushed that button and was like, I need to know. I need to become an investigator, and I need to figure these things out for myself. I've watched every investigator you can imagine on TV, YouTube, whatever. And all I can say is, I don't know, I've caught some things. I'd love to investigate that house. I'll probably never get the opportunity, but my mom talked about sitting down and writing a letter to the people that live there now. They might would let us, but I really doubt it. I don't know if they've even experienced anything, but they've been living there a long time, but not quite as long as we did, so we shall see. But that house did it. It shaped me into who I am. My mom was convinced that my grandfather's passing, he passed in 2012, is what did it, but no, it was there. It was around that time that things started getting crazy. And I mean, even before that, like I said, we moved out in 2006 and moved out in 2015. So it a wild ride. I'd say it would be in Paranormal Investigator's playland in there, if we could get in there. Oh, another thing. My sister swore, and I didn't know this till years later, that she was sitting in the living room one night and saw a tall man, standing in front of my mom's door, and then he just vanished. I forgot about that. My sister's not much into these things. Like, she'll watch the stuff with me, but she doesn't really care to do it. But she's been on a few investigations. She's not a firm believer, I don't think, though, yet. If she ever will be. But that's why I firmly believe in some kind of afterlife. Now, what that is, I don't know. I know that we do live on. I've experienced it. And nobody's going to tell me that it's not true, because I know for a fact that it is. Experience after experience after experience. And I want to prove that. So hopefully I can. But there's been a lot before me, and there'll probably be a lot after me. Why are you trying to pick up a face over there? That's not creepy. Yeah, the house I'm filming in right now is my mom's house, and it's haunted too. My camera has box things that fill out your face, and it's trying to pick one up in that corner. That's a little creepy. And it's moving. I don't know. I've tried to talk to what's here. He just gave me his name. That's in a different video. You should go back and watch.